Hey, what's going on, everyone? Supreme Com here. So we're gonna talk about these two newly alterated units over here. We got the Star Build Strike and then a Gundam Exia Dark Matter over here. So first thing first, would you want to summon on these two banner? I think the first question you're gonna have to ask yourself: do you have liking for these two units over here? I have very much liking for the Star Build Strike because of all those glorious effects. So if you guys have known, like the whole suit of the Starbuild Strike has a lot of effect parts. Like what is it? I don't think it's wing. Is it the Wing of Light? Oh, I'll just call it the Wing of Light for now. Like the backpack unit emits a lot of like blue, like it's gonna emit like a blue effect wings, and then some other yellowish kind of effects when you launches his what is that thing called? Uh, Not this one. I think this one as well, right? And the rifle. As for the rifle, it launches like the Star Power Gate, whatever it's called. I don't actually know the name, but when this thing is fired, it launches like another set of effects for it. That's why I like this unit a lot because of those effects. Not purely because of the stat or whatnot. I just like it just because of the overall units. You can summon just based on that, or like people summon for the stats. So that's the first question you have to ask yourself: do you like it or not? Um, these both unit, I wouldn't say they're like the best of the best because they came out on an era where the word tag were not the best. It doesn't mean that the word tag does not fit themselves. It just means that how compatible they are, just depending on whether or not it's gonna be like for a shot build or a melee build. Because in this game they gonna have like a barrier, not a barrier in a way, but you wouldn't run certain tech for melee build nor for shot build, right? Then let's talk about how valued these kind of banners is. So we have seen this kind of banner structure numerous times already. The last time we saw this banner structure was I believe was the Gundam Double X as well as the HFX together. It was this kind of banner over here. So you get 2 tickets at the end, like a step 5. The drop rate over here. So as for the freebie, right? We take a look at step number 5. You get 2 exclusive ticket that you can exchange for either, for this case, the star build or the dark matter. But this is I would call this the second tier banner, because if you guys have seen a few weeks ago, I would say two weeks ago, we had the Penelope banner, which is the better version of it, the better version of this kind of step up, because in step 5 was actually a guaranteed 5-star. It doesn't drop a 5-star, it actually dropped a 6-star instead of the 5-star over here, which you guys can see. So that one is the highly valued it. But in terms of the freebie, we can talk about for the Penelope, right? As for the freebie on step 5, only drop 1 ticket. Reason being because you can exchange the L bash towards a gunpla build coins, where you can use it on, besides on this specific kit, you can use it in any other builds, right? Because this one, with the exclusive part tickets, you can only exchange with these 2 units, which you are kind of limited in a way. In terms of the draw rate, this is a second tier banner as well, because the first 3 steps are not really guaranteed. It's kind of 16%, so the drop rate is significantly lower. As for the premium one, the tier 1, I like to call it, the Penelope, the Strike Freedom, and then the Infinite Justice, those I call them tier 1, because starting from step 3 to 4, they're actually the drop rate starts at 71. So this one starts 71 at step number 4, and then continues step number 5 71%, which is kind of bad. Like the Strike Freedom, Infinite Justice, and Penelope banner actually gives you a guaranteed 6-star at step number 5. So I would say those banners are better. And then one additional things, if you guys do have, for example, you guys have the full set of the either this builds, you can actually, oh, not this page, you can actually hop over to the store. You can go to event blueprints. That is being if you have the L bash, right? If you have summoned it throughout this week, if you have the L bash, you can actually just exchange it with the material B, and then you can exchange for either or L bash over here. That is if you don't have any liking for the new Gundam, that you can do this, right? So that's my take on this banner over here. Maybe some of you guys do like the structure because you can get 2 tickets at the step 5, where you can just kind of get the units at a level 10 portrait, right? So we're gonna first start things off with the star build strike over here. We're gonna quickly go through them because there are 8 parts for each unit. So I'm just gonna quickly kind of plow through them, just give my ratings and how I think these alterations are afterwards. If we first take a look at the portrait or the tags over here, you can see a protect a mid-range, which is a split between a melee build and a shot build. I would say overall, the star build strike is more of like a it's a both. It does both things, but it kind of leans towards that shot build just slightly a little bit, right? In terms of the stat over here, it is kind of evenly split throughout every stat and every category over here. There isn't one prominent, like, oh, this one is a little bit better, but the shot attack does come in at 10,294, which is pretty good. Within the top 20 for this kind of older units. Not saying the old alternation, right? Just talking about how old it was. In terms of portrait, okay, this portrait is actually pretty excellent. For those of you that run mid-range, I think this would be a pretty good option to you all, just because the second portrait, when you this is but keep in mind this is restricted to P attribute, so that is one caveat right over here. You do get initial charge up by 20%, which is huge. We have started to see them do a lot of these over here. Like just a week ago, we have the crossover Exia. That one actually does give a, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, initial charge as well. It's either that one or a few weeks ago we have something like that as well. So these are getting a little bit more prominent, so that's pretty good. In terms of like just being able to use your HQ a little bit more. So this one is good. That is if you guys are running the mid range. I do have seen a lot of people running mid range because it's a lot more easier to deal with than commander tag, because commander, you can say right now, is still a little bit limited in terms of good parts you need to use. So mid range would be a good option, but then again, you have protect, so you're gonna kind of have to deal with that in a bit. So let's move on to the chest right now. In terms of the chest, and like the stat is not gonna be anything too good, but the stat is pretty distributed throughout. You got pretty good armor, pretty good defense, and like just the offenses in both categories are just a little bit on the below average in a way. Tags are going to be the same, so you're going to have to compensate for that pro tag with something else, maybe like a ace exclusive or commander if so choose to be. Alright, in terms of the portrait, I would say the first portrait over here when 2 enemy is shot down is more. This is more for like a longer type of event, like even like the event, like the warfare events. Those can be good. Those longer multi missions where you have multiple enemy, not the limited time one where you only have one set of, like that one big enemy. So that's gonna be good in those scenarios. Like not good, like area this will not excel in. It's gonna be arena obviously, because there is only one enemy. Even 3v3 arena won't give you any good effects, right? This one, the second portrait, this one's gonna be specified to the army skill, so not something not desirable in a way. So I would say this one can be a skip if you guys don't have the likings for this one, just because the stat is kind of on a lower tier and it's really heavily focused on arm, which is not too good in a way. Throughout we have gotten a lot more better choices here, so I would say you can skip this one for sure if you want to alterate. But this one does have a pretty good effects, like I said. So like the overall build strike, I like it just because aesthetically I do like it. I rather not to alterate it. That really just depends on the person, right? I would say like in this kind of game where the meta kind of evolves a lot, I would say focus on a single part or a single unit that would, like, for example, be like, I don't know, like what is it? You would like double riser. Focus on the whole unit is kind of better than let me try to pick the best part of the best, right? That's kind of should be the philosophy when playing these kind of game, because if you do focus too much just on the, like, if you chase the stat every week, I don't think it's gonna be too beneficial. Like that's unless you are someone who can spend a lot, then yeah, you can do that. But if you guys are just kind of like a free to play, I think just going for the parts you like will be a better situation, you know. All right, in terms of the arm over here, it's not actually gonna make it into any good category, like good. Hold on, I put the arm. Hold on. In terms of the arm, huh? Why did it give me that? I'm pretty sure the arm is pretty good. So shouldn't be that bad. I mean, you know what? Never mind. Because we have gotten a lot of better arms. Like most average arm nowadays comes in at 10,600. That is why this one does not kind of make it through it, because like a lot of those okay tier arms are within that 10,600, which this one kind of falls short by 300. This one also does have an EX skill over here, so that's kind of nullified the fact that it's not too good, because you do have to subslot something, unless you just purely run this one on a skin. I would say this one is kind of a letdown as well, because how it was made back then. This one is the RG double build Knuckles. I think we have a better one already. Let me see if I can just kind of pull up real quick over here. Let me see real quick. Just to give it example, because I don't actually remember the whole name. So I think just going above from right over here should be a better scenario. And this one over here. This one is the Star Burning Gundam over here. This one is the Hyper Star Burning Knuckle over here. This one actually gives a melee raise by 18%. So this one is also an awakening. So this one is gonna be a lot more better. Unless the RG double knuckle have awakening, maybe that one is good as well. But this one gives an attack raise. So I would say if you want something that gives you attack raise, that will be huge benefits throughout. So this is a little sidetrack from there. As for the arm, would you want to alterate it? Probably not, because this is how I would say kind of low the status in a way. And then attack, you're looking at protecting for computer, not the best combo over there. So that's no question asked over here. Alright, in terms of the leg over here, the stat is not going to be too impressive. The leg does come in at rank 11. That's something, right? In terms of the EX skill over here, we have the Star Funnels over here. I think the Star Funnel is actually a pretty good animation as well, but like even the effects over here, 5 seconds for first usage, and then the cooldown is 19 seconds. So this one is makes it a pretty powerful EX skill. Like if you want to run like a full-on CD build, for example, you don't have it at 100%, maybe you have it at like, I don't know, 75%. You can kind of rapidly use this EX skill a lot, right? So, but this one is more purely whether or not you like it for the EX skill. I don't think it's something you have to alterate, because if I'm not mistaken, even before alteration, it's only a B plus power, which is not too bad. I think B plus power should get the job done. If this was just a flat A instead of A minus, then you can alterate it. But I think only bumping up one power level, I don't think this one really needs it. You would really put this one on the main build as well, just because you have a for computer, which is not the most ideal setup over here. Alright, now moving on to the backpack over here. The backpack does have pretty good shot attack, barely, right? So there will be a lot more better choices, obviously. But for, my gosh, the backpack have one of the better like effects. So if I ever put the chest, I mean the backpack, it will simply be on the skin purposes. So really no need to alterate it, unless I really want the star beam cannon over here. So this gives a little effects over here. Raise your speed by 20%. I don't even raising your speed by 20% is probably not the best idea. I'll probably not, if you have to alterate it. This purely depends on if you like the overall animation of it. This is subjective to you all. Like I'm not gonna say, oh, don't alterate an EXQ because like I like it and you don't like. If I say, oh, I don't like the EXQ, don't alterate it. And this is what I would say is highly subjective to you all, whether or not you like it or not. But in terms of the stat, I recommend don't, just because you will not run this on a main skin or a sub slot, just because of how kind of low the stats are. I mean, you do have pretty good tags as well. You have protect and high power, which can bridge into a shop build as well if you choose so. But just a part for an optional alteration if you so choose to for the cosmetic or the EX skill. Alright, in terms of the beam saber, not too bad coming out from the saber category over here. But let's take a look at the part trait. So after 20 seconds has passed, reduce cooldown by 50%, which is good. That's not bad. Most of the time within the first 20 seconds, I would say you have probably used a lot of your EX already. If possible, use all 3 of it before the first 20 seconds, so you can get a full on 50% reduction after that. But after this trait is kind of like a dead sentence after that. So it really depends, right? I think this one is good for like logger events. For example, like those single boss multi missions. Because you should be using like if for example we were fighting the perfect strike from last week or the week before. Um, I can execute my EXQ prop all my custom EXQ within like the first 20 seconds, right? Like after that you can probably wait a little bit because this 20 second will, like after 20 second has passed, this will trigger, and then like most of your EXQ will be on pretty short cooldown after that. So that's one benefit of it. But other than that, I don't see that many potential on this one over here. Maybe for battle circuit as well, because most of the time you do take longer than 20 seconds, and then the first 20 seconds you probably have exhausted your E skill already. So in that scenario, that may be good. In terms of the second portrait, yeah, it's just good already. Try to modernize a lot of these parts is good, but this one is locked to a T attribute, so just consider, do you really need this for a P attribute? If not, I would say this one may be a hot skip. It just really depends on the user itself. I would have probably picked something that is less restricted, maybe to a portrait. No, maybe to a word tag. I think that's maybe suitable. Maybe like I don't know, close combat, or I think close combat can be pretty good one to stick it onto. Just because I think most melee build you would use close combat if necessary. So I think this really depends on like if you have like if you have good options and whatnot. But this one overall just depends, right? You know what? Never mind. Let's let's like take a look at the tag you got for computer. So for a melee build, or I mean, this one is probably not a melee build, right? But for example, if this one is a full on melee build, just having that for computer is not gonna be good for that. Just not gonna be good. So alright, moving on to the beam rifle over here, we do have an E skill over here. This one is going to be the discharge system rifle mode. Figure rifle particle particles and fire a powerful particle particle gate pass bypassing beam. So this one should have a pretty cool effects. But then again, do you want to alterate it? This really depends on the user itself, whether or not you like the E skill, because these are one of the one that is the longer animation. The 60-second cooldown over here, at 90 at level 1. This one will just depends on the user, right? In terms of the stat for the rifle, not too bad. But would you want to run this on the main build? It depends. Can you sacrifice a slot for the pro tag? If not, I don't think that's gonna be too beneficial in a shot build. In most shot builds based scenario, you want to be using like ace exclusive. Mid range can be a good option. Maybe high firepower or Gundam type. I think those are the tag you want to be focusing on. I think pro tag will kind of just nullify how good this rifle can be. So let's move on to the shield over here. In terms of the shield, without doing like if I don't do the Exia shield, you might think, wow, look at all those effects over here. Like you have 3,000 for the melee attack, 2,400 for the shot attack. Pretty good defense, right? But if you do everything with the conversion rate, the 30% gear, you'll find out it's not actually as good as it looks, right? This one is gonna have its hindrance because you do have an E skill over here, the absorb shield over here. It's only for 1 second. But you raise your B resist by 100%, and then you can plug resist flinching for a short period of time, set period of time. Yeah, that 1 second. Is that only for 1 second, really? I do have the ship, but I have never actually tested out, so I don't even know how you use it. Could you use it right when your enemy shoots you? I don't know. That is a pretty funny shield, I guess. So, would you want to alterate him? Probably not. Yeah, probably not, just because you wouldn't run this one. I mean, I I don't know if you would run the sword shield over here. You do have pretty good tags, I guess. Pro tag and Gundam type, but for shield wise, I think it's best to have a portrait first. I think that's gonna be the better bet. So in most cases, I probably won't recommend the shield for alteration. So in general, the Starburst Strike doesn't really have too many ports to alterate. Maybe the head. I think, me personally, just based on speculation over here, I don't think the other parts kind of deserve it, right? So it just really depends on you guys for like, because you do have 5 EX skill over here. So the EXQ is just purely opinion based. So I think just because of that, this one is more of like a wild card over here. So, but up next we will be moving on to the dark, Exia dark matter. All right, moving on to the counterpart over here. We got the Exia dark matter over here. So we're gonna quickly talk about how good this one is. So someone brought to my attention. It's just more of on a speculation side of it. Someone asked me like, could they have made like what is it? We had the a straight tournament, right? Someone told me like, could they have made this unit like a while back ago and never released it and just give it like a pretty high stat? Because like what are we about to look at from the Exia Matter? The tree is pretty similar. You have Gundam type and close combat, and then I was thinking to myself, I mean like they absolutely can. What? They could have just made this like probably a year ago, and then right now they want to release it and put like a impressive stat stick to it. I mean, like that's highly plausible to be honest, just because like the tag is like that. But that's not speculation, right? There's no proof and all that, but it's just like that kind of brought to our attention because like they can make these kind of like soul cards and limited parts like a year ago and just kind of do some touch up, do some like light work, so like the tags are like portrait. That's a good speculation right there. I kind of like that. But back to the topic over here. I'm talking about the dark matter over here. How's the stat doing over here? In terms of the head, it just kind of hold up to itself. I would say the melee offensive stat is on a lower tier, and then a shot attack is horrendous. Only 7k, which is not good enough. For the melee defense, you do almost come up to a 5k, which is good. Actually, pretty good. In terms of the EX or the portrait over here when buffed it, this one is actually a double EXQ, and then the second portrait is a little bit to the leg only, so to your discretion over there. If you have a good leg EXQ, that's gonna be a good option. But other than that, if you guys are not running any leg EXQ, the second portrait will be reduced to absolute 0 effects. So when buff this, so that means you like underneath your ammo bar, there should be some kind of status whether or not attack buffing, maybe defenses buffing, and then under those scenarios, then the EXQ power booster will be affected. So basically, when you activate like your custom EXQ, most of it does have effect carry through it. When you activate those kind of EXQ, this would I think it trigger on a spot, I believe. Or no, it really depends. It depends on whether or not when your EXQ effects takes into place. Because some EXQ effects takes place right after you activate it. Some takes into effect after the animation have finished. So that would determine that's kind of like whether or not which kind of EXQ you want to be using. So be careful when choosing EXQ when you guys are using these kind of traits over here with the when buff this kind of effects over here. But overall, for a melee build, I mean like double EXQ buffing is kind of like intriguing, but whether or not you want to use any buffing, no, it's more like do you have any buffing EXQ you can be using, or do you want to just solely use it on a leg, have that leg have that 35%, or your other EXQ just like, oh, where's my 35% then? Yeah, so this one really just depends. I wouldn't say the head part for melee build. I wouldn't say there's a lot of good option, because some of the good option with high stat that's kind of evolved with like a enemy power reduction or some sort for the high end tier ones. So this one is good, but maybe not the best. If that's the case, even the tags, he wouldn't really run Gundam type on a melee build nowadays. So that's gonna be one problem there as well. Alright, for the chest. Yeah, the problem starts again over here. You do have close combat, which is good. This one actually comes before space, which I don't know. Do let me know if anyone actually ran for space in the melee builds. That's could be interesting. I mean, like the majority of when we see dark matter is in space, so I mean, no doubt about that. They have to put this guy as for space if to fit the overall schematics, I guess. In terms of stat, just like the Starburst Strike, it's not going to be anything just because look at how low the offensive stat is. 2800, I wouldn't say it's bad, but it's more of like a lower, like a low average. Like I would say a good number, it should be like around that 3k. I think 3k should be anything doable at that point. Shot attack, we're not even gonna look at that, but you do have pretty high armor coming in at 6k over here, not too bad. In terms of the E skill over here, I like this E skill. Let me do a little bit of explanation over here. So this one with dual rifle, dual saber equipped. So that's one caveat. You have to be running dual saber either on your main builds. If you're not running skins, then you have to use dual saber on your main build. So that can be a little bit tricky if you guys don't have any good double saber, dual saber. This buff EX skill effect up by 22% is actually more powerful than these over here. These are like the EX skill buffing, because these takes into like the multiplication of it. That takes place differently. So like your output is gonna be a lot more higher than, oh, for example, you have this kind of this a general melee power up over here. But I would say 22% is kind of on a low balling it. Because if you take a last week, we have the Mars with Dar just now over here. Same condition over here as the chest, but as for the Mars with Dar, we actually get an 8% more. But this one is kind of locked to an Outfighter job over here, so that may be one hindrance as well. Yeah, but this one comes in at 30%, which is a bigger boost over there. So overall, like the multiply should be a lot more higher. I don't actually know like the whole mathematical equation, so can't really give you guys that explanation. But just those buff EX effects are a lot more better. These will trigger if you guys are running. This will basically trigger on anything that has like a effects down below, whether or not it's attack buffing, or like a debuffing, like a melee, or just any like even defenses up. Those will take in just any buffing or any EX effect. This will take into consideration. As for the second pusher with rifle category, a melee power boosted by 35%, which is good. I would say just because of this effect right over here, disregard any of the stats. This one deserves an alteration. Period. Don't even like pro tag. No, not pro tag. Close combat, you can work things out with that. You can subslide that to a part that has close combat already, and this will work perfectly fine. Just to see if you guys can fulfill these two requirements. If you guys can, this chest is gonna be one powerful chest over here just because of this buff E skill up effect. So, alright, now moving on to the arm over here. The arm does have a pretty high stacking actually. This coming at 11k, but the one part is doesn't have an EX skill. So in most cases scenario, this one may be for skin purposes, unless you want this purely for the stat sticking. Then you can still put on your main builds, but you're gonna have to walk over to that permanent alteration and pick a good 1 to 100 scale alteration just to kind of fulfill that quote unquote 30.5% subslide purposes over there. This one is actually pretty good, but if you guys purely want the E skill over here, I will highly suggest going over to the permanent side as well, and then take a look at the arm of the Legatus. That will be a pretty good sub option as well if you really want this kind of E skill over here. If not, the second option is going to be another limit suit. That one is going to be the transient arm as well. I believe those are both A pierce and B plus power. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but this one is pretty good for either main build or a skin as well. But the tag, yeah, you're gonna have to do something with that. For computer, it's not the most ideal tag to be running. So just alternate it if you really want the pure stat sticking. If you guys are rocking a better armor already, for a good part trait, just kind of disregard that, because the trait will always be more important than just the base parameter stat, right? So alright, moving on to the leg over here is not actually too bad. It's coming at 5k actually. More than 5k, coming at rank number 6. But again, with these high amount of stats over here, you are locked behind EX skill over here. This one is Bronicle and Prominent. Probably I am pronouncing it wrong. What's good about this EX skill over here? If we took it just base level 1, first time usage is only 12 seconds, and this is the first time they did not shaft a power typing on this one, giving it an S minus, so that's actually pretty good. But this one will not receive a pierce like the other one. The other one that has like 12-second first time usage is actually get A and A. But this one coming in at S power is pretty powerful. Then if you guys do want a shorter time, like a cooldown EXU, I think these can be a good option as well if you guys have the leg. Feel free to alterate it. In terms of the effects over here, no squad recovery, which is a letdown, but it's kind of whatever, right? You do get a speed increase by 200%, and then melee increases up 39% at max, right? Yep. And then you also get some shot defense up by 19%, which is not too bad. A little bit helps overall, but just alterate it if you guys feel like you want the E skill just purely because of like a lower CD needed. Just really depends on you all over there. In terms of the backpack, the stat is actually pretty good again. This come in at 5k after the 30% change gear. You have the dark matter blade over here. This one is actually pretty good. This one I say is probably good recipient for alteration as well. This one does come in at B plus power and then A minus pierce. This one also raises attack by 24%. So remember when I said the headpiece needs a buffing. Upon this really depends on how this kind of triggers, like the 24% attack. Does it trigger on the spot when you activate it? Or does it trigger right after you uses it? So, but this one is good just to fulfill the one update effects over here. So, in terms of the stat, you can obviously use it, but the tag, yeah, you're gonna have to do some work on this one over here. All right, so now moving on to the sword over here. In terms of the dual saber category, you are looking at pretty high stacking over here. So this one will rank in number 3. But as for, like I said, the tags, man, the tags are killing it on this guy over here. So best case scenario, you want to sub in probably like a 1-to-1 to scale dual saber. I believe the Exia does have a twin saber or dual saber. If that's the case, if that one has a pro tag, I think that would be a pretty good merging on over there. In terms of the portrait over here, you do have when one enemy is shot down, E skill power reduced by 30%. So this one is a mix, one power up and one enemy power down. This one does really depends whether or not you like these kind of E skill. Like you guys know me, I really don't like these kind of E skill. I'd rather have things that works in my favor, maybe like a ICD, like initial charge up, or like just a double power buffing, like a melee power increases as well. But I'm pretty sure a lot of people would consider these skill as good as well. So really depends. Second portrait will be locked behind T attributes, so just make sure this can works well with like ending your builds before alteration. Just keep that in mind over here. Alright, in terms of the rifle over here, the melee attack is not too bad. After the change here of that 3000 over here, still not looking too bad. In terms of the tag, close combat, and Gundam type, it's not the worst case scenario, right? In terms of the second portrait, the portrait over here, we have seen the first portrait in one of the Starbuild strike parts, so we're not really going to talk about that over here. In terms of the second portrait, back part EXC boosted by 35%. So this is actually not bad. I think most of the good EXC are like the one, like the cussing one. This coming out from the backpack, so this might be a pretty good one. But if you guys don't really use any backpack EXQ, then this one will be wasted at the spot. So this really depends on this one over here. But I would say there's a lot more better choices for like the rifle, for like a melee build over here. So this one can be a skip over here if you guys don't really like it. There's no problem with skipping one or two of these part over here. And then coming on to the shield, the shield is actually not too bad. The melee attack is not too bad because this one kind of got carried it. The high defensive stat value over here, I would say the offensive melee attack is not the highest. So that one does kind of get compensated with the shield defense over here. In terms of the first portrait is going to be absolute garbage. Just because you have to be for one. Using for space, I have not really seen anyone use for space in like a melee build. So the first portrait will render to use this. In terms of the second portrait, I love this kind of EX skill. You gotta buff EX skill effect by 30%. That's huge. These increases over here will carry out by a long shot. Oh, low power again. Excuse me. So this one will carry out a lot more better than just like regular EX skill or like a melee power up or boosting over here. But if you guys have this shield over here, let me do a quick detour again. If you guys have summoned it on the Builder Castle Galaxy, this one will be a better one as well. But keep this in mind. This one does need double buffing, so it's the same condition, but this one needs to be buffed before we can use it. So in terms of activation, the dark matter Exia is going to be a lot more easier to use, right? But in terms of overall value, this one is going to be a lot more higher because you do have an EXP power boosted, and you also get a buff effect up. So I would say that Shield is a good option if you can just live up to the fact that you are only most of the time only have one of that portrait over there. So I can kind of go. Oh no, did I click on a picture? No, no. All right. So final verdict for the XT Dark Matter, I would say the chest is probably a good option to go through. For like the HQ, it highly depends on whether or not you like it. Because the arm, leg, and backpack, that's a pretty high stacking. If you really want to stat, maybe there's obviously a better option than these over here, just because they are locked behind an EXQ. On the shield, I would say it's a good option up to alteration with a second portrait, but you're gonna have to give up on one portrait, which is probably not gonna be not gonna be the best case scenario. So overall, these two units, I wouldn't say they're the best of the best, but there are little stuff you can kind of use it a bit. So that being said, hopefully this review helps you guys out there. So with that being said, I will catch you all on the next one.